Hello and welcome to a very, very special episode of Breaking News Cinema Savvy. No, that didn't work. Cinema Savvy News, that's the one. It's myself, George, joined by Chris. We originally meant to do the normal news with you, which I was finishing writing, and pops a little message very quickly. You got some major Star Wars news here. And I kind of thought, oh, it's probably just like a trailer, TV spot, or something irrelevant. It's like, oh no, Rian Johnson is going to write and direct 3 Star Wars films. Did you expect that information today, Chris?
No, I mean, I just refreshed Facebook, and it wasn't even. I said this before we went live, but it wasn't even laid out in like an eye-catching post or anything like that. It was just a picture of Rian Johnson's face, just like, oh yeah, new Star Wars trilogy going to be written and directed by Rian Johnson, and like a really crappy little hyperlink, and that was it. And I thought it was like fake news or something. It was something that a fan had done, and I clicked it and I read it, and I was like, this is officially from Star Wars. Like Kathleen Kennedy's like announced all this, and Bob Iger and stuff like that. And then I messaged you. I think I used the word colossal Star Wars news just gone up. And here we are. And we knew that we had to talk about it. Like we went through the news and we was just like, move all that stuff aside, make way for Star Wars. Because we love talking about Star Wars anyway, especially in the news. But I mean, this is huge. This is taking us into the 2020s. So yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, they've released a statement. What we can say right now is that Disney are currently having, well, Bob Iger has been on the phone, and he's had a meeting with shareholders, investors, and whatnot. And he casually dropped this to them earlier, so they've obviously followed up with the press really straight away. As well as this, we're waiting for the official press statement, but he announced the live-action Star Wars TV series, which George Lucas spent years trying to make. Probably not going to be the one they adapt, but they did try and do this before. A live-action TV series will go live on the Disney streaming service. The service is coming out in 2019. Guarantee the TV series won't be there for another couple of years. Probably around the time that this finishes, to be fair, or this starts. Yeah. But so we've potentially got a big breaking news again halfway through this show. But with they've released a big press statement for the film trilogy. We'll stick with that for a bit. And to be fair, there's actually quite a bit to dissect. Because even what the first thing I said, this is why he didn't direct episode 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we thought, well, they asked him, didn't they, on Twitter, and he said, like, he'd still love to do Star Wars, but episodes 9 not for him. I can't remember what he said verbatim. There was like a tweet that came out where he basically said that he wouldn't be directing 9. I thought it might have been fatigue. I thought maybe he didn't want to do an episode 9 straight after episode 8 because he'd still be doing all the press and everything for episode 8, and then he'd be essentially going right into another Star Wars film. Now we know that he was probably having talks with Kathleen Kennedy back then. She probably all okayed this with him. And now this is giving him enough time by not doing episode 9 to go into pre-production on this trilogy. Whether they're all going to be shot back to back, I don't know. I assume they're still going to have like a year in between each one. But no, like there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and fair play to Disney for keeping this close to the chest, because they could have announced this at Celebration. They could have announced this at any big opportunity they had, like the 40th anniversary. But it's just always a random time when they come out with all this news, which is fun because we can make videos like this on the fly and catches us off guard. But yeah.
Normally, as well with Disney, it's when they sacked Phil Lord and Chris Miller, there was normally like Variety or Hollywood Reporter, someone knows something's about to break. There was nothing on Phil Lord and Chris Miller getting sacked. Mm-hmm. There was nothing on Colin Trevorrow getting sacked. There's a theme here. And there was nothing on this. Normally, like Marvel, they're rumoring about this film. Oh, yeah, Kevin Feige says he wants to do this. DC, is that a comic character? Well, let's just say we're going to make a film on him now. That's how them companies work. Whereas Disney, they only like revealing information if they're, I think, like 1,000% behind it, because technically, we still haven't got a film lined up for 2020. We know it's going to be Obi-Wan, and to be fair, that did get sort of not leaked, but that was a big news story. Mm. But there's still no confirmation on that news story yet. Whereas with this, if we're looking at this, I would assume that we'd get this in 2021, the first of the 3. It's so hard to like imagine. I mean, if we break down the actual press statement, we'll forget that. Oh yeah, Rian Johnson's back. The main thing is Lucasfilm is excited to announce that Rian Johnson will create a brand new Star Wars trilogy, the first of which he is also set to write and direct with Ram Bergman, his producer. The key to this is brand new Star Wars trilogy. And as well, if you go on the Star Wars YouTube channel, look at the Star Wars show for their statement, they mentioned it would be new characters from new parts of the galaxy, which legitimately means that we're just getting a new Star Wars trilogy, which is going to be bizarre but incredible at the same time.
But how it's worded, it sounds like it's going to be an all-new era. This is like not going to be something that's been covered before. So that's got me thinking, when is it going to be set? Like, I don't think they'll go so far into the future, because we'll just had episode 9 at that point, and that'll still be fresh. I think they're going to go back. I think this is going to be like thousands of years before Phantom Menace, maybe covering the Old Republic, because although the Old Republic is a series that's been covered in the video games and probably in comics and novels and stuff like that, I don't really know. But in terms of a film now, that's all essentially been wiped clean. They can still go back and cherry pick, and they can still set it in that time because that time period is canon. But with a film now, you essentially have free reign over it. You have new planets, new aliens. It's not like this new one where they're still linking back to iconography from the old ones, or the spin-off films which take place in a time period we're all familiar with. This is going to be all new, and this is what I wanted for Star Wars now. It seems like I don't know how the rest of this new trilogy is going to play out. Maybe it will be very close to like the story beats of the original trilogy. Maybe it will be changed up with episode 8 and 9. But this one, I think this is now they've got people back on track. I hope this is the opportunity where now they can go absolutely crazy and really flesh out this world.
What if it's episodes 13, 14, and 15?
We both said, though, didn't we? Like, we think that after episode 9, we thought they'd take a break, or we thought that this TV series that's being announced would be an Old Republic TV series. I think definitely in terms of the budget and the limitations and stuff like that, I don't think that TV would work for that. So I don't think these are going to be numbered. I think they'll just have, the subtitles after Star Wars. And that's kind of like the marketing they've been doing with these new episodes, though. Like, technically it is episode 7, it is episode 8, but you get that on the opening crawl, but you don't get that in the marketing now. It's very much just Star Wars and then The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. And I think they'll continue that trend with this. If it is a prequel trilogy, we don't know yet. But I assume that from a narrative standpoint and from distancing itself from the latest trilogy out there, I think going back and fleshing that out with new characters is the way to do it.
I mean, it's thousands of years old, the Republic. There's so much they can do. Even Rebels, I think last series there was one episode where they hinted at even like the Mandalore's history of thousands of years ago, and that was the first time that Disney in the modern actual canon had mentioned the previous sort of, what happened in the galaxy with them years ago. And he's got, I mean, one of the press releases in this is what Kathleen Kennedy said is Rian will do amazing things with the blank canvas of this new trilogy. Mm-hmm. I mean, episode 7, I know everyone's got different thoughts on it, but you had to bring back Luke, Leia, Han. You had to introduce new characters, new Jedi, new villains. You had to have a continuity of some kind while attempting to do some original stuff. They had a lot of, even always was a lot of things to fill. Whereas there is no prelude to it. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe it's, we know it's set 1,000 years ago and there wasn't peace in the galaxy. But it's blank. They can have whatever planets they want. Mm. He could even visit planets he's done before, but just getting Rian Johnson back, I mean, he's a very talented director. If you look at Breaking Bad, Looper, I haven't seen Brick yet, but I do want to see it by the time Last Jedi comes out. Disney like him, and what you said before we hit record at Celebration last year, they bigged him up so much. And, I love J.J. Abrams, but when you look at how his press went, it's a bizarre comparison anyway, but JJ's the reboot king. He did this. He was good PR. He's a very smart guy, very good producer as well as director. Rian Johnson, what you said, Kathleen Kennedy, this guy is the new Spielberg.
And he was really Spielberg with that as well, wasn't he? Like, he was like, wow, like just to have that comparison.
And it's not even like the what's his name? Who was the original new Spielberg? Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan, another guy as well, wasn't it? It seems like every few years or something, we get a new director that's touted as the new Spielberg, and then they kind of disappear.
Even with him, like, they came from magazines. This is Kathleen Kennedy, who's produced almost every single one of his films for 30 years.
Yeah,
saying you are the new Steven Spielberg. That is a statement to say, and that was after they've wrapped filming. That's not even post-production.
But after she said that, like, I didn't know, with like PR and stuff like that, and you've got all the Star Wars fans there, I did go into it when she said that thinking that, oh, they're going to say anything to get the crowd cheering and applauding and things like that, because they brought out Phil Lord and Chris Miller right after that. And although she didn't compare them to Spielberg, she also sung their praises, saying, like, I love what they're doing with it. Like, they've got a unique take on it, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to now, they're sacked because their vision doesn't clash with Star Wars. So I took that with a pinch of salt. But now that she's essentially handed over the reins to him exclusively to write and direct, which... Did Gareth Edwards write? No, it was Kasdan still, wasn't it, with Rogue One?
Or no, I thought it was Tony Gill, Gareth Edwards. I'm just going to find out
because I'm trying to think. Like, when in Star Wars, has it just been since George Lucas wrote and directed it with the prequels, where they've had both control of everything?
Rogue One, the story was John Knoll and Gary Whitta. Obviously, because John Knoll pitched it, didn't he, all the years ago. Mm-hmm. Screenplay, Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy, then Gareth Edwards directed it.
Because I guess JJ as well, like, had some collaboration, didn't he? But I don't know. Is this Rian Johnson is writing this exclusively himself?
I reckon he's probably sat down with the story group and Pablo Hidalgo and said, "This is what I want to do." Mm-hmm. I think it could be like. I think when JJ spoke about it, they mentioned the troubles of getting everything right because it was the sequels. And
they were down to the wire with the script, weren't they? I think on that movie as well.
And I think with him and Kathleen Kennedy, they planned the trilogy, the outcomes in terms of, because Rian Johnson said he had a lot of original ideas, as did JJ, for their films for 8 and 9, and I think essentially what JJ did, he did 7, and him and Kathleen Kennedy probably said, right, we need this to happen by the end of the 3rd film, and then we've probably got the ending of 8 in mind and the ending of 9. And then just get us there. I think that's how their producer ones went. But I'd imagine it's Ryan's probably he's either pitched it to him or they've asked him to do it. And they've said they wouldn't have announced this, I think, if they hadn't had his ideas already.
Yeah. No, they've definitely had this for a while. My concern is, and I keep saying this every single time, like, with this, like, giving him free reign, I hope they do give him free reign. Maybe he's sort of like proven himself with episode 8. Because episode 8, yes, like, Rian Johnson would still have been able to put his input into it and everything like that, but that would have still been strict guidelines for a story that's already been written, with Disney saying, like, oh, you need to put this in there and that. And that will probably still be the case with his trilogy, but I hope they ease back on that a bit. We've seen that with Rogue One, where most of that was reshot because the style didn't mesh with what Disney wanted. We've seen that very much so with the Han Solo spin-off, so I hope with this they can ease up a little bit. I think, though, he's proven himself with The Last Jedi by the sounds of it, so they're happy for him to do it. Like, he will stick to what they want, but I hope, like, he can bring his own spin on it a bit more with this new trilogy that he's doing.
Yeah, and I think, to be very well, because I think, did Mark Hamill give the interview about a year ago when he said, when he read Ryan's script, he didn't slag it off, but he kind of said, this isn't at all where I expected Luke Skywalker to go, which I think in theory is a good sign, because, I mean, I love Mark Hamill. He probably thought it was the very traditional Jedi Master route, which obviously in 5 weeks' time we will know about.
Yeah, he did 5 weeks. Yeah, you just put it into perspective there.
We've already seen it. We've already seen it. Then we will be recovering. But so there's that. But one of the other things, what was I going to say? I have completely forgotten what I was going to say.
Still the movie trilogy, or were you going to segue to the TV series that's been announced?
I think I was going to do a bit of both. Actually, I'm just going to come out and say it. Michael Giacchino needs to do the soundtrack for this new trilogy.
We can say his name right now since you've been to see him.
Yes, I have a confession to me. For the last... I mean, when did I first hear of this guy? Like, probably way before podcasting. Or like,
mine was like in the days of Lost, like 2004.
I say you'd have known it from Lost. I'm probably thinking Star Trek, maybe. Like, what was maybe one of the first ones? Like, I knew he's one of them you find out his music after you like him, like you do. But Michael, what do we call him? Michael Giacchino. Giacchino. And then it was a shock horror that it was, oh, he's Michael Giacchino. I'm like, what?
That's going to take me so long to change back to that, though. So expect me to still say, oh god, Giacchino. So you've confused me now, even now. Yeah, no, that's really strange. It's difficult.
Pass the torch. I think Williams is going to bow out with 9.
Yeah. Hopefully 9. Come on, Williams. Yeah. I don't like talking like that, but he's got to do 9. That's the right time.
I'm kind of here like, Are we going to get some new breakthrough actors the next 30 years? Are we gonna get some well-established names? Like, I'm just excited at the prospect of not having, like, even we were too young for episode 1, but when they were announcing the casting for that, like, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone had been like, "Oh, my mind is blown." That guy from Trainspotting, and they had classic roles to fill. But then you would have had new roles like, "This is Samuel L. Jackson playing a Jedi," and everyone's mind would have been blown. This is Schindler from this is Schindler playing another Jedi. And like, I think back then your minds went, whereas the new ones for us, it was, these are all the guys in this film. We've got the original cast. You're excited for that, but these are the new people. And the ones that really got me was Andy Serkis and John Boyega. I was buzzing for because I loved Attack the Block. But now it's going to be like, there's so much that's open now, and even the TV series, like, could it be set between? Well, it's probably more likely to be original trilogy era, but imagine a TV series set between 5, 6, and 7.
That's what we want. The only way you're going to get that is animated at this point.
Battlefront 2 is, I mean, that's out next week, but are we going to find out very soon? Some of the, I mean, it's an 8-hour campaign, but we're going to find out some steps between 6 and 7. They've got the budget, they've got the costumes, they've got the sets. Pinewood is having an extension. Everyone's known about that. That was in the news months ago. They've got the world at their fingers. I just want to know more. It's so exciting.
Well, what date did you say it was going to go up to? Like, you kind of plotted them all out, didn't you, with a year in between?
I'm guaranteeing 2021 will be the first film. We'll get 2020, the Obi-Wan film. 2021, then we'll get 23 and 25. 25 to seal the deal of the trilogy. So we're already looking at the next 8 years, approaching the 50th anniversary. Star Wars Land is probably going to get twice the size now.
I'm going to be 32. That is, people watching the stream can do the math on that one. That is going to be fucking terrifying. It makes sense though, doesn't it? Because imagine like people watching, you know, the original trilogy when that came out in the 70s, and then getting the prequel trilogy. Like, apologies, like, but like getting the prequel trilogy. And now this one.
Now they're getting sequel trilogy. Now they're getting the spin-off trilogy.
Yeah, because essentially our original trilogy, like, kind of was the prequels, wasn't it? In all fairness, like, that was
but that's our childhood. Like, people slag it off, and they've got a right to. But I'm there, like, I grew up on this. This was my drug.
Yeah.
And everything's it's all coming together, like their plan. I mean, for all we know, this could be episodes 1 to 3 of like of a potential 50-year structure, which is going to get me depressed about Star Wars outliving me.
I know. Well, that's. I was just thinking that actually, there's going to come a point where it's going to continue, and we won't be able to watch anymore, which will be horrible. Can you imagine how that's going to look like in like 50 years' time? Because Star Wars will still be getting made in 50 years' time. It's a foregone conclusion at this point. So that means we're still going to get Star Wars in the 2020s. We're probably still going to get Marvel. We're going to get Harry Potter because Fantastic Beasts will still probably be going into the 2020s.
That is going to... Didn't we work that like a year ago? Fantastic Beasts.
Because that's every 2 years, isn't it? So Fantastic Beasts 2018.
That'll finish in 2024.
Yeah. And still, it'll pretty much be around the same time, won't it?
Marvel's planning for Eternity.
Infinity, yeah.
DC, well, no, they're going to be bust by then, aren't they? The Lord of the Rings TV series might be having its premiere, like, of the season finale around then.
Well, Sheila's just left us a comment. She's thought, I thought you were going to talk about the Lord of the Rings TV show just then. That will be in a separate video, more than likely. Probably
we'll be able to... We normally argue Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars. We have the originals, the prequels, and now we're going to have the live-action TV shows of each.
Yeah. And
there's even animated Star Wars, there's animated Lord of the Rings.
So this means our ongoing feud of Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars is going to continue into the 2020s. This is going to be amazing.
It's all going to be fun and games until Josh Gad gets cast as Gollum for the TV series.
No, he'll be like Samwise Gamgee or something. It'd be fucking...
You know what? I'd actually really want to watch that. If he was Samwise Gamgee.
The thing is, he sings in the book, so Josh Gad can sing as well, apparently. So it's going to happen.
What about Josh Gad gets new Star Wars films because of the videos of Daisy Ridley? I mean, he got to host the celebration panel.
Who would he play? What kind of person would he play? He'd be like a comedic character, wouldn't it? Although we did watch Murder on the Orient Express, and he wasn't too comedic in that film. He played it more or less straight.
No, and he was in Star Wars Rebels, but that was a voice role, and it was very disappointing. I'm just excited. Can we have Kenneth Branagh on, please? Like,
Yeah, oh my god. Get him directing one. Get him directing this. Get him directing the Obi-Wan spin-off film.
yeah,
And have himself in it.
I'd pay to watch that. There's just the world is an open book. They're gonna have Star Wars things we don't know. I remember when they announced Jakku, and I was like, "What? Yes, this is Takodon." I was like, "What? These are new planets I have to learn and live by for the next like 30 years."
We are going to be bombarded by those visual companions at the end of every year.
I'm already planning this year's ones because they're out in December. We get to the cinema, we go home, straight to Waterstones, get the book, read through, second viewing that night, and I'll be like, "Hey, look, that's that robot, like, I don't know, like Jim Bob 4 or something." Or this is going to be like the Porg's mother, or I don't know. But
we've got
Disney,
Porg babies now. So... Yeah.
Porglets, evil creatures.
And just think of all the money you're going to be spending on those Funko Pops from here until eternity.
What saddens me most is that, like, in the future, we're very young. We will be in better jobs and stuff, and we will probably all have more money to throw around. Like, Tate's going to be, like, skiing and, like, I don't know, like, with royalty or something, if we can say that much about getting told off. And then we're going to be there, like, everyone's just going to be, like, grown up. And there'll be, like, little kids that are 10 now, like, talking about films. So, yeah, I remember growing up with The Force Awakens.
Does this mean if we're still doing this podcast when we're in like our 60s or 70s, we're going to have a passing of the torch stream where we have like younger counterparts?
Our grandchildren.
Yes. Oh my God, can you imagine?
It's unreal. And no one saw this coming at all. Like the TV series, people have been like, yeah, we expected that. Everyone spoke about that before. This, like, oh no, this is new. I am excited. It's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan.
It is, yeah. No, I think why I'm more excited about this one is if they'd have just announced like, oh yeah, there's going to be a 10 and 11, 12, I'd have just been like, okay, whatever. But the fact that they said it's a new one, it's going to be set in a new era. Well, they haven't said that specifically, but that's how I'm reading the statement. I think that's what's got my imagination firing a bit more now of what they can do with this franchise.
Yeah, I think I'm more excited because they've announced Rian Johnson.
Yeah,
that's probably my outright truth with it all. That
I like Rian Johnson right now. I'm going to reserve judgment until I see The Last Jedi to see his take on it and his style before I can really go into, what I think of him taking on a new trilogy. As it stands, though, what I've seen of his stuff before, I'm more or less. I've seen Looper, which I thought was fine, but I'm more or less going from his writing on Breaking Bad, which is still my favorite episode of that entire 5 series. So yeah, no, looking forward to it. But we also have a TV show to talk about as well. Like the news just doesn't stop there. They could have just left it at that. That would have been big enough.
So
go into that.
The TV show, we don't know too much about it yet, but it is going to be on the Disney streaming service. Which for those that don't know, Disney is bringing the fight to Netflix because Disney actually run profits in their company, and they say they're withdrawing all content. There's something on the news which I haven't read into yet about the Marvel TV shows, which I read earlier this week, that they're gonna. I think the contract's finished and they're not gonna put any more out there. I need to research that properly, but Disney are launching their own version of Netflix, and in this meeting they basically said there's going to be a Monsters Inc. series set in that world. There's going to be a High School Musical. There's basically, it doesn't matter because there's going to be a live action Star Wars TV series. If they pump the money in, which I think they will do, because they have the budget to. I mean, say it's set in the original era. They've already got hundreds of Stormtrooper costumes they were using on Rogue One. So it could actually be slightly cheaper than we think. Depending on what era. It'll be probably... it could be anything. Could it even be Clone Wars?
Because was George Lucas putting it off before because of the limitations and stuff like that? Because I was looking when Battlestar Galactica came out.
It was too expensive to...
Yeah.
They reckon it's going to be like 8 million an episode or something if he were to...
Yeah, I remember that they did add it up.
His way. And I think back then, telly was... back then you didn't have that kind of budget in telly, but nowadays I think they could. If they just said, listen, here's a 10-episode season, and you can have like 20 mil, 200 mil. They'll get that back in merchandise, let alone Disney's. I mean, think about how expensive the Disney streaming service is going to cost to have monthly. Who's got their entire catalogue of films on, then yes, you're looking at least £10-15.
God, I didn't even think about the merchandise as well. Like, it's not just going to stop with the movies, is it? When you've got a TV show running at the same time, you're going to have that as well. But I was looking at Battlestar Galactica is probably the best example I can think of as sort of the last 10 years in terms of sci-fi TV. I know you've got the new Star Wars, what is it, Star Wars Discovery or whatever it's called?
The Star Trek.
I said Star Wars, yeah, Star Trek Discovery or whatever it's called, Discovery. That looks great, like in terms of visuals and everything like that. It almost looks like it matches the films. But Battlestar Galactica came out in 2004, and it's been a while since I've watched it. Yes, some of the effects don't hold up to today's, obviously, because it's advanced since then. But like the spaceship battles in that series are great. They're intense. They're everything you want. So judging by today's standards, I'm sure they can definitely do that. And yeah, like you do look at shows like Game of Thrones, which is like a 10-episode series, and what they can do with that. I know that's fantasy, but it's astounding. It's almost like movie quality. So I'm sure they could do the same with Star Wars. It ultimately depends when it's going to be set, what kind of characters it's going to be. Is it going to be a series that's going to be required to have loads of space battles and loads of lightsabers and countless things like that, or is it going to be more grounded and street level, like elements of Rogue One and things like that? We'll have to wait and see, but I know it's been in talks for ages, a live action Star Wars series, so it's nice that we're finally getting it. And I think it's the right time to do it as well, because we did our news thing on the Disney stream and we were saying we weren't really sure what to make of it, what kind of content they'd be bringing to it, but now they've got a Star Wars series. I mean, that's going to be huge. That's going to draw loads of people in from that alone, I'm sure.
It'll be one of the few TV series I watch weekly.
Yeah, and they've still got the animated ones. I think you said there's a new animated series being confirmed, or
Rebels is finishing this series, and there's been rumors for a long time that they've been hiring people for the next series, probably to happen in 2019, I'd imagine. So I guess that animated series would be on there as well if they needed it. But Disney are all guns are blazing. They are ready, and they don't take hostages. They take your money.
I think that's probably a good note to end it on, actually, and especially if they had have bought 20th Century Fox, like, can you imagine the monopoly that Disney? It would have been the
only thing. That's all they need to get the distribution rights back for episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they would have bought that just to get them distribution rights, not because of the X-Men franchise,
yeah,
or anyone else, or the Alien franchise, because that's so marketable these days.
And indeed Ridley Scott movies, apparently. I'm sure we'll be talking about all that stuff, though. I think we said tomorrow, haven't we? But we're not 100% sure yet. But,
yeah, we have got news to bring out. This was literally breaking to the last minute of breaking.
Because we were going to throw this in with all the other stuff, but I mean, how long we've talked about these 2 bits of news on its own? Like, can you imagine if we'd have done all the other bits of news as well? Like, just it's not feasible. So we'll do all that other stuff. We've got last week's news as well to catch up with. So we'll package that together in like a 2-week movie news video. But we had to do one on this. We always do it with like the big breaking stuff, didn't we? We did like Colin Trevorrow. We did one. Was it last year on Indiana Jones 5? Yeah.
Oh God, we're gonna get Indiana Jones in 2020 and Star Wars in 2021. They're just never ending.
I want no, actually, I don't want. I was going to say a Shia LaBeouf trilogy of Indiana Jones films.
Oh my God, if we can get Shia LaBeouf as an alien villain in the Star Wars TV series to be graced our screens for a year,
I'm down. He can keep the beard.
He goes so like real of acting. He just flies into space to do some research. He just goes to a galaxy far, far away.
He'd do it. It'd be like Jared. Oh, actually, speaking of, can we get Jared Leto in there? Do we want him in there? I don't know.
Now that Hugh Hefner film's on, we can.
he's got a free schedule at this point.
But no,
and he's doing Tron as well, so he'll be part of the Disney family.
Yeah, I forgot about Tron. Can't wait. Do a Tron TV series, that'd work. But no, that's we're all Star Wars outfits today. I think we could say. I'm not going to do the usual stick with us, literally just come in tomorrow for the normal news. There's a lot to talk about. And we have to actually address some allegations because they have become not about us, thank God, not about us. No, just about there's actually
just
been
everyone else in Hollywood at this point.
Yeah, it's like getting. I think we can't really go into it, can we? Because we get told off. But
allegedly.
we have to talk about some of it because it is impacting films. We'll just quickly know like reshoots happening for a Kevin Spacey film. We've got to talk about all that tomorrow on the news. So join us for that. So we'll be back tomorrow. We don't have a review this weekend, but I guess these news videos can count or something. And we have a lot of stuff planned for the future. We got Justice League next week because who isn't looking forward to that?
Yeah, on that hype train. I'm ready. Bring it on.
I cannot wait. It's going to be 2 hours of my life. I can't give back.
The hate mail is in the post right now.
I'm already going to send them abuse because they released it the same day as Battlefront. But yes,
bastards. Yeah,
I know. Just give EA your money too. But no, this has been an episode of the Cinema Savvy News, even though it's breaking news. And join us tomorrow, and if not, just keep joining our River Stars videos. We've got a lot of stuff planned. We've got a Journey to the Last Jedi playlist, which have been updated. And as we hit December, we're going to have a lot more Star Wars things planned. Probably a predictions video, a couple of other things like we've done the last few years. We don't have enough to do a Star Wars month, but we certainly have enough to talk Star Wars for a few weeks. So we shall see you later.
See you guys.